20 days. 20 days it's been since pretty much I started this. Feels like a hell of a lot longer.
Fit him with a restraining bolt. You're a feisty little one.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Droid Protocol. I'm doing a pretty low budget quality video tonight because I'm tired. It's been raining all day. I've been super busy actually. I've had a lot going on today. I've done a lot actually. I've achieved a lot. And I've even been to the gym, which normally I don't do, but I forced myself to go. But I think that's what helped me be a little bit more productive today. But I did really achieve quite a lot today. So the hips, I managed to get all the, well, pretty much 99% of the detail all done on those. I did just kind of sketch out. I used the original pieces of template that I made the pants with, and then I looked at some pictures online and sketched out the details. So that's one of the templates. I just basically mirrored it both sides. They're not actually supposed to be the same, both sides, but I just don't really care anymore. I just want to get this thing done. I don't think anyone's going to know that this isn't meant to be the same. Like, no one's going to know. In fact, if someone came up to me and said, oh, that's wrong, I'd probably just punch them out, because the amount of effort that's going in to put this costume together, I don't want to focus on minor things like that. It's just not worth it. So all I got to do for the hips, I'm going to call these hips because they're not really pants. I just have to finish off. I basically have to invent a detail for the back. My little toy does show, oh God, I've lost it. Where is it? Here it is. My little toy does show a weird looking tailbone indentation, but I can't confirm whether that's actually correct or not. It's very hard for you to see. I don't normally use my front facing camera, but today I just can't be bothered. So that's all I got to do for those. Figuring out attachments and stuff like that is very simple. My plan is to basically connect like some webbing, like backpack strap. That's actually called webbing for those of you who don't know. And possibly just have some plastic like press clips that will just slot in, some buckle type things, so that these will just hang from my undersuit, which will be super simple. There's nothing else required for that part of the suit. I've tried it on with this. Sorry, I've got a bit of asthma today and I'm really struggling to breathe. But I've tried it all on with this, and another thing that I've discovered today, which I'm trying to just put out of my head, because once I get a bee in my bonnet about something, it's very, very hard for me to let go of it. This section here, because of the adjustments that I made to the neck to actually fit me, because as you all know, this was a puppet originally, it's not meant to be worn, and I'm probably doing a world's first C3PO naked version. The thing that I've discovered is that this cross member here actually should be about 2 inches lower, because this gap here is too small, and I'm finding it very, very hard to ignore now. And look, it's not really a major issue, but to fix it, I could do, because as you can see here, this is really the only thing that aligns it to here, and I can pretty much change that very easily, and I can extend these top straps pretty easily as well. But it's whether or not I actually want to put in that much effort for something so trivial. So, yeah, look, if I ask any of my friends, they will say, don't. They'd say, just leave it as it is. And I probably should just leave it as it is. I don't know how I got that wrong, but I think now that I've got my undersuit and I'm thinking more about features of the undersuit and how they will interact with the exoskeleton parts, now I've discovered that there's some things that possibly don't look exactly right. My other problem is my torso is actually significantly longer than the torso on this mannequin. So that's part of my issue is I've used the mannequin for a lot of measurements, and then when I've transferred it to myself, it's actually not quite right. The shoulder width and everything like that is okay, but you know, the angle of the neck, things like that were wrong. So that's why I've had quite a hard time with fixing the neck section of that. But anyway, I'm digressing now. Back to what I've done today. Excuse me. Today, I managed to put together some experimental bits. So I used I'm going to just set this camera down. I'm really sorry. Normally I would be using a tripod, but today I can't be bothered. So I basically used my drill and some cotton, like some cheap cotton rope basically, and just twined it together with some electrical tape. I just managed to find some cheap electrical tape at the store across the street from my house. So I just thought I'd give it a go because electrical tape's quite expensive, and I just found some really cheap stuff, and I was able to just experiment by making some of these like whip type things, and they actually turned out pretty good. You know, even with the texture on them, I don't mind that, because when you look at the 3PO episode 1 version, he has quite a lot of textures in the cords and cables. So I think with some stuff like this, once it's all weathered, it will actually look quite good. One of the things I've been looking for is a spiral cable tidy, which 3PO, the 3PO puppet actually has a lot of, but the product that is used is super expensive. It comes from America. It's called Panduit, Panduit. So I am able to buy the stuff to make it look exactly like the one in the movie, but that stuff is so expensive, it's just not worth it. And the lengths are 50 feet for each color. And, you know, I'm talking like, if I needed some green spiral cable wrap stuff, I literally only need like a meter, maybe a couple of meters. Like 50 feet is just an absolute overkill. And each roll is probably, look, I can't remember how much it was, but I think it was something like $50 to $100 US. And like, that's just not feasible. There's just no way. So that's why I've been experimenting with doing it this way. You can see the types of thread or the cotton rope stuff that I used. It's quite soft. And so when I was, you know, doing my lashings with my drill and my little rigged up swivel thing clamped into the vise, it didn't spin as smoothly as I would have hoped. And so I wasn't able to get perfect, nice, smooth chords. But to be honest, it's not too bad. Like the texture is not too bad. So I can probably get away with it. I will probably have some real cords, some real electrical wire combined with this. So that will disguise the sort of rough nature of these and it won't look too bad. But, you know, just going back to that Panduit thing, because that's a spiral, this kind of almost emulates that look anyway. So it doesn't look too bad. So I'm pretty happy and convinced that this will work quite well for me. So all I will need to do is do some black. I need to do a hell of a lot more of the yellow, quite a few more reds in different thicknesses. So Yeah, I've got a few more of those to make, but honestly, these are really simple. It didn't take me long, so I can easily do that again. Onwards and upwards. Today I bought some more cotton cord. This is actually for macrame. So I don't know if you know, like, there's old 80s macrame hanger things that people used to put plants in and stuff. And, when I was a little kid, they were all the rage. And I remember my auntie having them all over her house. But yeah, that's basically the cord that I use. And it's just super cheap. So I've got 50 meters of that stuff. And it cost me like $11 at Spotlight if you're in Australia. Everyone in Australia knows what Spotlight is. It's probably a bit like Home Depot for by American standards. And while I was there today, I bought some tulip slick. So I've been talking to a few of my 3PO builder buddies on the 3PO builders page on Facebook, and I've done quite a bit of research because I have used some of these dimensional paints before. Now, what that means, if you've never really heard of that, is it means that this paint is thick enough that however you put it on to your project, it will stay, like if you paint on some paint and you basically flatten it out, when you squeeze this out, it stays in a thick bead, a bit like when you're using like a silicone cork gun and squirting out your silicone glue. This comes out and stays as it is. So that's why they call it dimensional paint, because you can basically build it up into thick layers or into like nice beads of paint. So I finished my black undersuit this morning after all the trouble I had fixing the face. I managed to get that done. And then today I was able to use my tulip slick to paint on the wires. Now, just a little bit more about this tulip paint. My C3PO buddies that I was mentioning before one of them said he's used this stuff and one of his costumes, it's lasted him 10 years and he hasn't had any trouble with it being stretched or broken or cracked or whatever. Another brand of dimensional paint that I used on my Forlom costume, the paint actually became quite dry and brittle, and when the fabric stretches, it actually cracked and snapped and peeled off. My friend from the 3PO Builders page on Facebook said that this stuff doesn't do that. So I believe that this may be a little bit more like a latex type based paint, or possibly not latex, but like a synthetic latex type, because it does seem to skin. Like when I had it on my fingers, it seemed to like skin, and it's just different to normal paint. So I think there may be something unique about this actual brand, Tulip brand. Now, they also make a puffy paint, and a lot of people I have seen their tutorials and stuff online, they talk about puffy paint, but they're using it as dimensional paint. They're not actually using it for its puff ability. Now, the puffy paint, I remember from the 80s, was like all the rage. Everyone put puffy paint on everything. What you actually do with it is heat it with a hairdryer or a heat gun, and the paint bubbles up and turns to it looks like marshmallow. But this one doesn't actually do that. But whatever is in this paint, it seems to be very, very slow to dry, but it holds its shape. Puffy paint does it as well, but this one doesn't expand when you heat it. So I'll quickly show you what I did earlier. I stretched out the bodysuit and I painted only the front side so far. I don't know if the lighting is very good, but you can kind of see. I just did white, red, blue, green, and yellow. But this should just be enough to camouflage the undersuit a little bit. And the plan is that once the suit is completely painted, I'm probably not going to do much more paint than that, but I just have to do it on the back and on the legs. The plan is that the suit will then have on the legs, I'm planning to attach some of these kinds of wires to the actual suit. so that it's just easy. The legs is probably the easiest part to get on, so I'm thinking I could probably attach a bulk of heavier wires, or like my homemade wires. They can be attached to the legs and just be stitched on. And then the top half, the torso section, I'm going to make a kind of like a, let's call it a poncho, and a poncho made out of wires. And that poncho thing will go over my head or possibly Velcro around, and all the wires will net, like a netted type wire will drape over the undersuit. And then on top of that, then the exoskeleton will go lay over the top of the netted wires. So there will essentially be 3 layers. There'll be the undersuit, the wire suit, and then there'll be the plastic heavy duty suit with its own wires attached to it. So I think that's probably the simplest way I can achieve the result. It'll just add layers. So the painted wires will just really camouflage in the background, and I'll probably put some weathering, like some brown or dark black, or not black, but I'll probably weather that color down so they're not so bright, because I want them to really kind of blend in to, you know, like the shadows and darkness of the netted, the actual netted wires that will be over the top of that. So yeah, I'll just create some like layers that way and just shade it down so that you don't really see it as much, but it will still be there. So that'll just really create like even on this toy, the toy is very basic. It's only just got 3 or 4 different colors of wires, but all the black in between is what gives it that depth. Like this toy is actually what inspired me to build the suit, because you can't see through this, but you just kind of get the impression that it's a bulk of wires. Even though in the movie suit you can see right through 3PO, this little guy is what gave me the idea that I could build this suit and make it wearable, because, you know, you can see the bulk of his arms. They don't look unnaturally skinny, and I think that that's how I could build this suit and make it look like Naked 3PO without actually being a real robot, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's what I've done today. I'm seriously losing my breath. I'm going to have to get my asthma puffer, but that's where I'm up to today. And yeah, it's amazing. I go for a week without doing anything, and then in 2 days I basically, you know, have like half finished the costume. Well, not quite, but next thing I've got to do is paint the rest of the suit, the undersuit. I'm going to keep making some more of my homemade wires, and I've got to start working on the skeletal parts of the arms and legs. So yeah, I'm not sure which bits I'll work on first. I'll just see what happens. But yeah, there's only really a few more things to get finished, like major things to get finished, and then I can really start putting the suit together and really start getting it to look like it's ready to be worn. So it's exciting. I'm really shocked that it's only been 21 days ago that I started building the helmet. And yeah, look, here we are. Like, I'm up to episode 9, I think this is, and probably I think I could get this finished in the next couple of weeks fairly easily. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'll post some little videos and clips of what I got up to today, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.